Chula Innovations Unlocked is produced and presented by Superjohn Klinsawang.
This week on Chula Innovations Unlocked, we take you to the Department of Preventive and Social Medicine, Faculty of Medicine, Chulalongkorn University, to talk to Associate Professor Dr. Krit Pongpirul, who is the man behind the innovative Personalized Probiotics Dispensing machine, which is soon to be equipped with an AI-driven platform. But before we get to that, let's learn how insufficient and imbalanced probiotics within our bodies can affect our well-being from the expert in this field. Dr. Krit, first of all, thank you so much for coming on the program. My first question is, how essential are these probiotics towards the well-being of human beings' lives?
Before I answer that, I think we should understand that our body have been occupied by living organisms at various levels,
right.
And probiotic is a kind of the useful kinds that we might need.
Right.
So it's not about essential, but it's whether you have enough of them already or not.
Right.
So we are talking about the ecology of living organisms. So if the ecology has gone wrong, has gone disrupted, it means we have to correct them. It's like we lost the perfect forest, and the forest never become a forest again. So we'll try our best to make the forest become the forest again.
So let me rephrase my question then. What are the essential probiotics required for a human being?
So people try to make a claim that there are some specific groups of probiotics that everyone needs it. But if you think about that carefully, if we already have enough of some of them, so why would we want to refill that anyway, right? So our concept is to start off with checking whether you are lacking of some specific genuses or species, rather than blindly refill it.
What happens if our body lacks these probiotics? What could be the symptoms?
So if the bacteria composition has gone wrong to some extent, people may have some unexplained feelings, unexplained symptoms that is not classified as a disease, right? For example, maybe the bad breath, or maybe smelly armpit.
Body odor?
Yeah, body odors. And maybe some burp, frequent gas, fasting.
Okay.
Yeah, or maybe hair loss.
All this is due to probiotics?
Yeah, it's most likely, maybe unexplained allergy to some things. Right, because the body has gone wrong. So it shows into some symptoms.
Right, so the issue here is not only to detect what is gone missing, but also to fulfill what you lack. How did that idea come about in your research?
Initially, I was trying to think scientifically. So in the first step that I touched into this area was that we get a grant, the National Research Grant, to figure out what exact probiotics that can help reduce the fat in the body. And a question from patient that I got a lot is that why the lady has a very thin body but have high cholesterol in the blood, but the man may have a big body, but may have a normal blood test. From that point of view, we talk about targeted purposes, right? So if you want to use a scientific methods, as a conventional doctor, we have to make a proof. So we got the grant, we try to conduct a research, and we want to figure out what probiotic reduce exactly what area of the body that have too much fat. So that's like you have 3 bank accounts, the blood, the skin, and the liver. So these are the 3 fatty spaces area that I try to focus on as 3 differentiated areas. And we try to figure out which probiotics can reduce fat in what spaces. So we try to conduct animal studies. So we came up with some food formula for mice, and then we give the mice some probiotics, and then check whether the fat in the blood, fat in the liver, and fat in the skin reduce or not. And it turns out that we can find some, but we also found that not all mice or humans are the same.
Right.
And it's not possible to come up with some like one probiotic that is beneficial for everyone.
So there's no such thing as a one size fit all.
Correct.
In terms of probiotics.
Correct.
Okay.
So that first concept I call targeted probiotics.
Okay.
That means you want to specify what goal that you want to achieve. So that one was the fat reduction. Right. Another is like sugar reduction.
Okay.
So with this targeted concept, it means we need a scientific proof for each of the targets, each of the outcomes.
And for each individual.
Yeah, on average.
Okay.
And it's measurable objectively.
Okay.
So that's a targeted probiotic concept. But it turns out that there are some other people who have so many unexplained health problems.
Right.
They may not have too high fat, they may not have too high sugar, but they have several unexplained problems, like what I mentioned earlier.
Right.
So if that's the case, we need a tailored approach. We need to personalize the recommendations. So it's not about what exact probiotic brand is good,
right.
but it's about what probiotic is actually for you. That's come to the second concept, which is personalized probiotics.
Right.
With this one, we don't focus on one single outcome, but we talk about each individuals. Like we have to assess whether the person A and person B are lacking of what probiotics.
Okay.
So that's here comes the concept of personalized approach.
I see. And by being able to provide the sufficient as well as right on target probiotics, we're able to solve many symptoms.
Yeah, maybe I would say maybe not symptom but health problem or maybe concerns.
Would you call this methodology as prevention or cure?
I would say both. But when we talk about prevention or cure, we start off with the term diseases.
Okay.
But now we are not talking about diseases. We're talking about how a person feels, how well-being a person have.
Okay.
So we talk about unclear concepts.
Let's say I have insomnia, I have constipation, if I have lots of funny diseases that doesn't really kill me but bothers me a lot. What do I have to do in order to get to you?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yes, that's an multiple unexplained problems. In the first step, most of these people actually have gone so many investigations conventionally before.
Right.
And maybe they have the colonoscopy, gastroscopy, or some kind of blood test.
Right.
Maybe got some vitamins, maybe some detoxification.
Okay.
So those are the investigations that has been done but found negative results. So this is the target group that we need to identify some more data. So we usually do some assessment and what we call microbiome analysis.
Okay.
So basically we check some specimens.
Okay.
Most common specimen is from colon, which is your poop.
The stool.
Yes, and sometimes we check oral specimen.
Okay.
Saliva also. Maybe eye swab, and vaginal swab. Actually, we can get a specimen from the whole body.
Okay.
But the most common is the poop, the feces. And then we use the genetic sequencing technique. And then we can identify and quantify what exact bacteria genuses and species and strain that you have,
right.
and with a reference, and then we can tell that you don't have enough of some and maybe already too much of some.
Okay, too much of a good thing.
Yeah, so it's like we are checking a Central Park, whether the Central Park still have enough trees, enough running athletes, enough ducks, enough fishes or not.
What is the required time and money in this checking process?
At this point, we have several lab services, commercially, like private and public sector.
Okay.
But the cost is kind of like not so cheap. Yeah, and it may take a long turnaround. If you submit the stool to some other countries that has a very high standard lab system, it may cost you 15,000 baht, yeah, to maybe 40,000 baht per one stool.
Okay.
Yeah, and get the result in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But that means you are talking about the findings of 3 weeks ago by the time you get the results.
Yeah.
So our goal is to try to figure out how to shorten the time and reduce the cost.
And you've done that?
We are setting that service right now in Faculty of Medicine here.
At Chulalongkorn Memorial Hospital?
Yeah, and one strategy is to make the lab test more feasible and practical in the clinical settings. And in the past, most microbiome analysis has been done and conducted by lab experts.
Right.
But we are trying to think from clinical practice.
What's
from
the difference?
Clinicians.
What's the difference?
So from the lab expert, they want, for example, they want to list all the bacteria names that they found, but maybe we have no idea how to manage that anyway.
Okay.
So why don't we just measure what we can manage? So we optimize the list of germs to become the measurable and manageable list. And that can shorten the turnaround and then can reduce the cost.
I see. And once we have the results,
Yeah.
what happens next? Do they have a daily pill, or is it like syrup? How is it? What's the form?
At this, we have two phases. At this current phase, the clinician would act as a counselor.
Okay.
So we look at the result together and we identify which bacteria that may not be enough. And then I create a platform at this stage.
Okay.
So we have a platform which is a data set, a database that I can search and can tell you exactly what brand in the market, in which country that is for you. So instead of looking at commercial ads on the TV, you just talk to me. And then we look up and I can tell you, oh, this brand is for you.
Right. So
based on the result.
That leads to my next question. Of all the probiotics that are, and prebiotics as well, that's in the market at the moment, are they all good, or are there some that we should be aware of?
They may be good, but it's a matter of to whom, right? Because without any measurements, we cannot say which product is the best. Because no product is the best.
Right.
You know, in Thailand, the FDA of Thailand register at least 300 brands of probiotics.
In Thailand?
In Thailand alone.
Okay.
But the point is, all those brands are recipe, not a single probiotics. Because no one can register a single probiotics, or no one can register a single bacteria names. Yeah, because no one can own a bacteria,
exactly.
right? So the only way to register to FDA is to make it a recipe. Okay, and you can tell the names and the amount of each to make it your recipe.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that it's good for everyone. And it's a matter of marketing, right?
Do these probiotics have a shelf life?
Yeah, they have a shelf life because you are talking about living organisms. The current regulation of FDA of any country just talk about how to ensure that your packaging technique can maintain the living organism in that package and the amount that they expected. But it's more than that, you know. It's not about the quantity of living organism in the product. It's also about how your body welcome it. You know, in this term called colonization resistance. That means two persons consume the same amount of probiotics may take it differently. Okay, that's colonization resistant. A body of some people may resist to external probiotics. So that means he or she might have to take more quantity. So, but that have never been discussed in the regulation, right? But they just talk about how to ensure the product. So we have to personalize not only the names of the probiotics, but the amount of each and whether you welcome it or not.
Right. So once we're on the right track, we're taking probiotics at the right amount, at the right type. How long is it before a patient is cured?
I would not say a cure, but it would take only a few weeks to see the changes.
Right.
You can feel the differences, right? And it should be relatively faster than blindly consuming commercial probiotics.
I see.
Right? Because we know exactly what bacteria you don't have enough, so we refill exactly that. You are not talking about over-the-counter product anymore. You're talking about your own
Tailor-made.
You have a host. You have clinician to be responsible for the changes.
Right.
Yeah.
I've heard of probiotics, prebiotics, and we mentioned earlier before starting the recording postbiotics. What are the differences of the three?
So the pro is the living, the post is the dead.
Okay.
Yeah, the pre is the food for those who are still living.
Okay.
That's it.
Simple as that.
Yeah, but I always talk about prebiotics broader than the people's because we forgot to mention that the herbs, especially in the Thai context, we have a lot of Thai herbs and Thai food. Those are exactly prebiotics.
Right.
And the Thai traditional medicine, Chinese traditional medicine, we all use herbs.
Right.
But maybe the main mechanism of action of herbs is through changing the gut microbiomes, the probiotics. Right? It's like when you consume some herbs or some food, maybe tom yum, the chilies, those can act through changing the gut bacteria to make your life better.
I see.
In terms of whatever, like cardiovascular disease, heart disease, cancer prevention, Alzheimer, allergy, everything is about that, including infection.
Right.
So,
as an expert in this field, to people who do not yet have access to your treatments and diagnosis, what would be, as an expert in probiotics, what would be your advice to them?
To have a healthy life. So, a person can classify themselves in two categories first. First is that maybe you think you have exact diseases, right? You have diabetes, you have cholesterol problem, you have obesity, overweight, you have cancers. All those things are a mainstream right now, so don't ignore conventional approach. So don't just like step out. If you have regular attending physician, keep the follow-up visit as is. Don't reject them. And if you are in the second group, you don't have any like specific diseases, you can try to figure out some way to improve your health and well-being. You can tell if you have some kind of disrupted ecology called dysbiosis. If you have some symptoms, if you have some minor problem but multiple minors, like sleep issues some days, bad breath, all those kind of multiple minors that your doctor may not have answer for you. That way you can try figure out by checking your body. Right? There are a lot of commercially available gut microbiome assessment service that costs a lot, and usually it's from the lab perspective. So they will give you a full report, and you may understand 20%, and they will just at the end they give you recommendation of probiotics. But mostly they are just a few probiotic recipe from that lab company. It's not personalized to you.
I see.
Right? Because they just match your findings with their available product in the shelf, and that's it. That's not the real personalized, right? But my goal is to make it the real personalized, so we plan to have that machine to be available at clinical settings. Yeah. But if you want an easy solution, you can try easy thing like yogurt. Yeah, and one common recommendation, a generic recommendation, is that you can try each yogurt brand, but don't stick to one. Maybe you can try one brand for a week, and then the second brand for the next week, and you can monitor your changes. if you have issue with maybe burping, and you try brand A for 1 week, you just count how many burps in that week to see if there is any changes. And then the second week, you try the second brand.
Have to be a bit observant on this.
Kind of, yeah. That's a personal experiment, which is easy. And you just count the frequency of your symptoms. If you don't quantify it, you cannot see the change.
The more expensive the yogurt, the better the yogurt.
No. And sometimes like kefir or some homemade yogurt may be good. And maybe you try some kimchi. And they don't specify what probiotic in that kimchi, but the concept is to keep those kind of fermented vegetables believed to have a lot of probiotics, right? And that explains partly why Japanese people, Korean people have a longevity.
And what is your next step towards research and development for this mega project for our well-being?
We are trying to institutionalize our concept and services. So now we are having the Center of Excellence in Preventive and Integrative Medicine. So the preventive means prevention. Integrative means the treatment, but we don't use the term treatment. Because there are several kind of treatment comprising conventional and unconventional treatment. So now we have an integrative medicine approach that can combine just more than the medicine. We have several other things. So we consider the nutritional advice, the exercise concepts, lifestyle issues, and sleep assessment and correction. All these things has never been addressed holistically before. So that's why we have setting up the Center of Excellence in Preventive and Integrative Medicine at Faculty of Medicine, Chulalongkorn University.
And there's also the AI perspective of things that you mentioned as well.
So we have developed the AI platform to personalize the prescription. So at this current phase, we just make it ourselves as a counselor. So we recommend you the commercially available probiotics. But later on in the future, we will import your genetic sequencing result into the platform. And then we collect it before and after you take our recommended probiotics. And then we can see whether that exact probiotic can make any change in your body. Right? And then in the future, we can make a personalized prescription because we already developed the patent of the probiotic, personalized probiotic prescription machine. So the machine is just part of the platform. Right now we are in the first phase of the platform. So my goal is to have the AI platform. So the algorithm will recognize the changes before and after our recommendation. Whether the recommendation is the probiotic, whether a recommendation is the change in food, maybe exercise,
lifestyle,
and maybe sleep correction. All those recommendations can affect this gut microbiome. Then we see the changes, and then the AI platform can help remember everything for that one person.
As we're conducting this interview, it's mid of 2023. How long before all this is up and running full steam?
3 to 5 years from now.
Well, wish you the best of luck on that.
Thank you so much.
It's going to be a tough journey, but it's going to be worth the trip.
It will be fun.
It will be fun. ขอบคุณมากเลยครับ
ครับผม
Chula Innovations Unlocked is produced and presented by Superjohn Klinsawan. This program is brought to you by Chulalongkorn University.